we want to highlight people in our community who have interacted with the practices and aren't perfect at them. None of us are. Even Trey and I, we talk all the time about how we're still wrestling with how we Sabbath. Even us, I know, believe it or not. How do we Sabbath with like kids and things like that? And so they're members of our community. Lisa is somebody who's been a part of our community for a few years now and has engaged with the practices to varying levels. And I just think her story has been really encouraging to me to hear from somebody who hasn't really done this before and has kind of put in the work to go through the challenges and the ups and downs specifically of Sabbath. And so I just invited her to share a little bit about her experience and hopeful that it'll be a blessing and an encouragement to you. So thank you for being willing to share.
Sure.
Is that on? You're on. There you go.
On?
There you go.
Sure,
Good to go.
Willing to share. I like to talk. So
yeah.
We're good.
All right.
Yeah, right.
2 to 5 minutes.
Yes.
I would love to hear just if you have any sort of thoughts about Sabbath or the practices in general before you started, coming to our community or implementing them in your own life. What was your attitude towards them?
So before coming to Passion Creek, any of the practices, I hadn't really heard of them. None of them. It was nothing that was ever discussed in any of the churches I went to, even in childhood. Sabbath was kind of touched upon as that day of rest, right? A day given to God to rest, but there was never a deep dive into it. So for many years, after I became a Christian, I thought I was doing Sabbath right by going to church and spending it with my church family and then going home and doing the laundry, doing the shopping, because I'm resting, right? I'm getting ready for the week to prepare, but it's a lot different now.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What are some of so since hearing, our take on Sabbath and looking at the scriptures and things like that, what were some of the initial challenges that you faced as you tried to implement that on like a week-to-week basis?
I think for me specifically, the challenge was my attitude about it. So I have a lifestyle where I don't have children in the home anymore. I live by myself. So I think I flippantly even said to Trey one time, I can easily Sabbath. Like it's like I got all the time in the world to Sabbath, right? But I think so for me it was a shift in that mindset and attitude of what Sabbath really was or is, right? Yes, I can spend time and resting, stopping and resting on a Sunday, right? But I'm going to binge watch something. I might run to the store. So it's just, there was a lack of intentionality before. And what I'm loving right now is I'm seeing the need for that intentionality during Sabbath time. And my Sabbath looks a lot different now than it did before.
Yeah,
Definitely.
what does it look like? What are some of the things?
For me, the intentionality right now, and I think this will shift in time, but is around relationships again, because I do live alone. I don't have a large social circle. Be intentional about spending the time with the folks that I do have in my social circle right now. So each Sabbath, I started with kind of my youngest daughter, spend the day with her, have a day of just her and I, and not just catching up, but just being mom again, I guess, for a while. My Sabbath is a little different also because it happens during the week. It's not a weekend. So I feel very blessed with this. I start my Sabbath Wednesday at 6 p.m. because that's when my work day ends, and I have my first communal Sabbath meal with my Together group at 6:30. And then Thursday is spent with, what I've been doing is trying to spend it with someone in the morning, and then in the afternoon, kind of that's my time for me. Get creative. I've started crocheting. I'm doing the old lady thing, guys. I'm crocheting things. Yay! Puzzles, crocheting. That time to just kind of settle in and think upon. It allows my mind to wander and think about it. And then one of my all-time favorite things is the candle that we got. I end my Sabbath with lighting the candle, and that's where I spend my time with God. Like, thank you, love this day. It was wonderful. I got to, and just the remembering of the day and to be able to kind of secure those memories for a long time. So it's a lot different now than sitting and watching whatever I can find on Netflix for a few hours.
Yeah, we usually fill our minds and our activities, our days, our rest days with too much stuff to actually feel rested. And so last thing I'll ask is how have you, in what ways has your practicing Sabbath shaped how you view God or how he views you, if that makes sense?
Right. I see it as he loves me enough to give me this time. And one of the things that I really, I kind of struggled with for a couple of weeks was time. my life has changed recently. It has gotten a little busier, so I'm in that space of what kind of time do I really have? And that time had become, and I'm a little ashamed to say this, but an idol of mine, because it's my time, right? I'm giving God a piece of it by, doing my morning quiet time. You got that, God. And throughout the day, a breath prayer or two. But Sabbath really made me realize, this is my gift to you to use to enjoy what I have provided for you, whether it be the things that I'm looking at in my home or as I'm out on a walk, or because I do love to be outdoors in creation. So it has just shifted that mindset of, thank you for the gift, God. This is one more gift, one more, like I don't deserve any of the others. One more you've given me, so thank you.
That's good. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Sorry. Yes. There you go. No, that was great.
I'm sorry, I do like to talk.
That was good.
It was only 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
I'm under 5 minutes.
You're under 5. This is a great first one. If you guys want to share a story with us, I don't know if that's an open invite. Anyways, we'll reach out to you. Again, our hope is, listen, we know it's hard. We know we've gotten a lot of pushback, as with anything. It's following Jesus requires a little bit of, trying and intentionality to get something, Jesus says, I come to bring life and life in abundance. And so we just want to explore ways to accept that life. And so thank you for sharing.